Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. It's Tom Lenoble, and great to be with you again. I have a guest today that I met recently, and I'm entering into this project with her. And I said, I think it's time for you to be on my podcast. And Michelle said yes. So today we have Michelle Jewsbury of Unsilenced Voices. Michelle is an author, a coach. I'm going to let her tell you the rest as she wishes. But I just have enjoyed our first interactions, and I know we're going to have a great time here for you today, viewers, on this podcast. Michelle, welcome to Opening Pathways.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm super excited to be here, and hello to everybody out there in La La Land.
I love that. So, Michelle, I want to start and jump right in at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about you, and I want to know what sparked your idea for Unsilenced Voices.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys everything. So, as Tom said, my name is Michelle Jewsbury. I was born in a small, itty bitty little town in northern Idaho called Sandpoint to two amazing parents. My mom and my dad were the biggest cheerleaders of my life. They really did everything that they could to make my brother and my life happy and successful and whatever that looks like. My daddy was military though, so we moved around a lot. And my brother and I learned very early on that we had to make friends and unmake friends and remake friends and unmake friends because we moved so frequently. After graduating high school in Idaho, I decided to pack my bags and move my happy little butt to Hollywood, California to pursue an acting career. So I was there pursuing acting, loving it. And that's when I ended up meeting somebody who I thought was going to be my Prince Charming, Tom. And that guy was not a Prince Charming. And unfortunately, violence happened and started happening about 4 months into that relationship. And I stayed for over 4 years. And after I escaped that situation, I started to document my story. And I ended up writing and performing a 65-minute solo play about my experience in domestic violence. And really, it was crazy because when I read it back to myself, I couldn't believe it was me. And when I was performing, a lot of people used to tell me, it must be so therapeutic. And at the time, I didn't realize it was healing for me, but it really was. And after I had done the play, so many different people came up to me and started telling me their stories of overcoming all types of different adversities, from domestic violence to trafficking to suicide attempts and homicides and grief and suffering and disease and you name it. That's when I looked up at God and I said, okay, this is way bigger than me. What do you want me to do now? And in 2017, I founded Unsilenced Voices, a nonprofit organization that primarily works in West Africa. So the bulk of our programming is in Sierra Leone, and we'll get into what all of that consists of. We've also done work in Rwanda and Ghana and the USA. And then in 2019, I began speaking and coaching. I wrote my first book, and it was on that journey that I discovered that it's not about me any longer, but about helping other people share their stories. And Tom has jumped into Breaking the Silence, Voices of Survivors, which is a collaboration project. We have published up to this point of the date of this recording 4, and Tom is going to be in volume 5 of Breaking the Silence, which is amazing. And then I help a lot of people with visibility. So we're rebranding currently, and I am a visibility expert. So I get to get people on stages and publish books and speaking careers and creating courses and content and doing all of that. So that's a little bit about me and why I created Unsilenced Voices.
Thank you, Michelle. Now we're going to
Yeah.
jump deeper into learning about Michelle. So tell me this. How are you fundamentally different from the person that started on this journey? How are you different today than when you started?
You know what's crazy is I was a bartender pouring drinks when I first started this endeavor, and I didn't really know where I was going. I moved to LA. I wanted acting. I still love acting to this day, don't get me wrong. And I was just pursuing this one craft and working like all the other millions of actors in Hollywood pursuing this career. And when this adversity happened to me, I really dove into my relationship with spirituality, with Christ. I dove into healing And I am probably a 360-degree different person than I was 10 years ago. And really, it's just saying yes to what the universe or God has provided you and asks you to do. And this is something for your listeners, because if you're being pushed to do something, all you have to do is say yes. And when you say yes, you may not see 10 steps ahead of you, but you can see that next launching point, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I've kind of learned that as long as I keep doing that, then God's got my back and everything will work out. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
changed
yeah.
a lot.
I love that, Michelle. Someday I'll tell you about my story about manifestation, but that's a different podcast. So tell me this, what personal values have guided you from the start, and which one has deepened more recently?
Authenticity is really important to me. There's a lot of people that I've shared stages with, even that say something in front of the curtain and other things behind the curtain. And I think being transparent and honest is extremely not just important, but essential. And I think that's what we're missing in today's day and age is this authenticity, this collaboration, this communication that seems to be lacking in our society today. And that's something that makes me different is I say things how they are. Yes, I have empathy and sympathy. However, I'm going to say, hey, let's light a fire under your butt and let's do something with this adversity rather than saying, oh, woe is you. See, I'm not that life coach. I am more of a business coach. I am more of somebody who is not going to allow you to stay stuck in those circumstances. And I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
that's very important.
really good. So tell me this. Tell me about a risky decision that paid off. What gave you the courage to act on it?
Wow, I love your questions, Tom. And just so your listeners know, I didn't get these beforehand, and I've been on hundreds of podcasts, and these are actually deep questions. I'm very excited about that. Um, a risky decision. When I first started the Breaking the Silence Voices of Survivors book collaboration project, I really had no idea what I was doing. I felt like I was supposed to bring people together to be able to tell their stories. However, this was a big risk because that means I focused then on marketing and doing things online, social media, and all of that, versus going directly just on stages and selling courses and content. So when I did that, I just started making phone calls, and lo and behold, it turned out really, really well and way bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, we're publishing volume 5, which you are in, Tom. I didn't realize that it was going to go from 1 to 5 in less than 3 years, which is absolutely amazing.
Love it, love it. I want to know this. What belief or assumption that you once held has turned out to be completely wrong?
All right, I'm going to tell you a little story. So, when I was in school, I used to sit in the library to eat lunch by myself. I moved around a lot during my life, and being a military brat per se is challenging, right? We had some friends, people knew my name, but nobody really liked me. They thought that I was a city girl when I moved to the country and a country girl when I moved to the city, and things were different. And women, girls at that time, would tease me a lot. And I am a strong, independent woman, so I fought back and I argued back. And I was National Honor Society and varsity cheerleader, and I was national I was treasurer my senior year, and all kinds of different things. But I wasn't very well liked by the females in my high school. Lo and behold, the mass majority of my clients are female. I speak on empowerment, and a lot of that is women empowerment. And I remember when I was given this guidance that I was going to be going this direction, I was like, are you joking with me now, God? Because this was a really hurtful situation to me in the very beginning. And it's actually turned out beautiful. But, God is able to turn beautiful things into beautiful things from broken pieces.
Love this. So tell me this. What did last year strip away and you're glad it's gone?
Hmm. Self-doubt, a lot of doubt. Of course, it's still there, but there was a lot of questioning of what I was doing, who I was with. Um, I was probably not allowing myself to be fully who I am and allowing the people around me to dictate where I wanted to go, who I wanted to spend time with, what I wanted to do with my life. And it's very interesting because at the time of this recording, it's what, June 1st right now. So it's the beginning of summer in 2026. And I started to notice in November, December of 2025, the things I needed to let go. And I'm trying not to get emotional here, but I finally made the decision to let go of some of these things, meaning people in my life. So if you're listening to this, it's very challenging to let go of people, but it's like a weight off your shoulders. And that's what I learned from last year collectively. And this year is taking action.
Yeah, I love this. I've learned in this lifetime that people come in and out of our lives, and it's okay. There are
Yeah.
people that come and stay longer, people who are here a little shorter of a time, and it's really okay. Sometimes we attach too much meaning to it as opposed to letting it just be and know that as someone leaves, it's just an opportunity for someone else to join. And
Yeah.
that it seems to me to make more sense. It seems to me to be something I get to understand a little more, to allow that flow to happen instead of assigning meaning to it. Tell me this, Michelle. How do you recognize when fear is information and not a stop sign?
If there's actual action steps to take, see, I don't truly believe that fear comes from my God. And I believe that if it's fear, then it is the devil saying, ha ha ha, I've got something on you. And I think that if it's you're frightened or scared or there's some type of uh, eerie feeling that like, oh, I can't move forward or I can't do this or I can't or I won't do this. I think that if you just take that one step forward, then you'll be guided in the right direction. I live by a saying, Tom, God can't steer a parked car. And I know that your podcast is not, faith-based and all of that. However, for me, God is a huge part of my life. And I really try to listen to those cues. And when it is a stop sign, there is a flat out, this needs to end. And for me, even like with people in my life, I always fight back. See, I've been somebody who's extremely loyal to multiple people, multiple things, businesses, you name it, even if they don't work for me, right? There's a printing company in Los Angeles, and I don't live in LA anymore, that I still use, that I've used for 25 years because I've known them. I'm loyal to them. But the stop sign that comes is usually like a huge adversity, huge type of hit where I need to step back and realize, okay, this actually is not good for me any longer. And I'm going to listen instead of fight back. So I hope that made sense to
Yeah,
you
it
and your
does. It
readers.
does. I love the loyalty thing. You and I have that in common of I'm extremely loyal until I have a reason not to be, but it takes a lot. But
Yeah.
I laugh because I've had the same carrier for my phone longer than they even had their name. So it's kind of funny sometimes, you know. You know what I've learned, Michelle, and I'll share with you. I think I've shared this with the viewers before. What I've learned about fear. And I've learned this is true about fear, even that dreaded imposter syndrome that there's so many books and discussions about these days. Fear and these things are simply an opportunity for growth,
Mm, yeah.
simply something that is being placed in front of us. Now, if a tiger's in the room, react appropriately. But when we're fearful of something, take a moment and maybe just ask yourself, what is this teaching me, or what is this trying to bring into my life? What we typically do is go back to something that happened before in our life that kicks that fear
Mm,
off too. And learning to
mhm.
discern between the two can be a real difference about whether the fear is information or a stop sign for some people.
Yeah, and also, it's what's the worst case scenario? So if you're fearful of something, okay, well, if I take this leap, say it's a business leap, I'm scared to do this. I'm fearful of moving forward. Well, what's the worst case? Somebody's going to say no. People are going to say no. Do it anyway. And that's what I've learned as well. When I
Yeah,
first started my business, right, I started throwing mud against a wall. And that's kind of how it started. I'm like, let's see what sticks. Let's see. I had many different coaches, and having business coaches is extremely important. I've had many different therapists as well. Mental health is just as important as your business health. And, I was like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I remember, okay, I'm scared to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, that one didn't work. They said, no, let's try something else.
yeah,
And it's okay, right? When I started the nonprofit organization, I had no idea what I was doing. I went to college for 1 year. I didn't graduate college. I'm not college educated per se. I didn't really like school. However, when I was led this direction, of course, I'm scared. And the first country that I went to for Unsilenced Voices was Ghana. And it was a Ghanaian doctor that came into my bar and said, hey, I love what you're doing. Please go to my home country and see what you can do there. And I packed my bags and said yes, right? I didn't know anybody or anything. It could have turned out so bad. And yeah, of course, there was fear there, but I did it anyway. And if I wouldn't have done that, Unsilenced Voices would not be where it is today.
yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, throwing too much mud against the wall just gives you a dirty wall, right? Um,
I love that saying.
tell me, tell me this, Michelle. What impact are you most proud of? Not professionally, not publicly, but personally.
Mm. Our girls overseas. I mean, I know it's not business. However, it's my managers and supervisors in Sierra Leone send me videos and photos every day on a daily basis. I have to know, where's the money going, what's it being used for, all of this stuff. And our girls, who many of them were trafficked to Sierra Leone in very, very abusive relationships. 99.9% of them have been sexually assaulted, babies having babies. Um, these girls, though, they have each other's backs now. They walk the streets at night with our team and advocate for one another, and we're able to get even more girls out of sex work and the help that they need. And it's just really beautiful. And when I go there, it's like this big party, and it's so fulfilling is something that I would like to say, because our girl, I mean, well, they like to dance. Our girls in Sierra Leone love to dance, so they'll put on some music and get my little white butt out there and shake me, and it's a blast, and they are so grateful. And it's very interesting because the mass majority of them, barely have any more than what's on their back, and they are willing to take off their shirt to help somebody else, and it's
Yeah,
beautiful to see.
yes, yes, love this. What boundary has become essential to your sustainability?
Mm, uh, Not allowing other people's opinions to affect me,
Hmm.
and that's a hard one. Of course, that still comes up, especially if they're close to you. However, other people's opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one. I hate to say it like that, but it's very, very true. And I've learned that if they do not live the life that you want to live, then don't listen to them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. So have you ever said no to growth because it wasn't aligned?
Well, I've said no to people because they weren't aligned. So if we want to go that direction, so I've met with clients, I've met with people who want to be a part of the book. I had a course called Legacy Camp that I used to teach. Now we've got a system called Becoming Amplified. if the people aren't aligned with who I am and where we're going as a team, then it probably won't be a win-win. So it's not even worth taking that risk, taking that jump, meaning I may miss out on 10 grand or something like that because I tell them no, but in the end, it's going to save me time and money and mental health because I've made that decision.
Mhm. Love this. So tell me this, Michelle. What have you learned about trust on this journey?
Mm. When I was younger, my mama raised me not to trust anyone. And I've realized that's not correct. Like you can trust, right? But you have to be very selective with the trust. I am somebody who I tend to have walls up when people meet me. I've done my best, and I'm still, of course, continuing to do so to break those walls down so people know that I'm approachable and I have an open door policy and you can talk to me and this and that. But it takes a little while for trust to develop. And then once that trust happens, then, we become friends, we become joint venture partners, whatever that looks like. But when that trust is broken, it's done, right? I don't tend to give multiple chances like I used to in the past. And with my abusive relationship, I went back 7, 8 different times. And then going through 8+ years of therapy, I've realized that I've allowed that to be a consistent in my life. And I've had to step back a little bit. Once somebody does something, if they do it once, shame on them. If they do it again, shame on me for allowing that to happen again.
Yeah.
So I've had to like put up walls. And as you can see, my hand movements, if you're watching this on YouTube or something, there really is a blockage. Like you have to be very, very careful on who you let in and who you let in your heart.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
What does renewal look like for Michelle beyond the typical time off or a day off or just a little rest? How do you renew?
Uh, so how do I renew and what renewal looks like to Michelle? Maybe two different things. So let me answer both these
Very good.
questions. So how I renew is I love concerts. So I go to Dave Matthews Band concerts. I like to drink wine. I enjoy my time with my friends. I love to scuba dive. What it looks like to renew is going to a loud place by myself because I like the energy so that I can think through some things. I used to take myself out to dinners in crowded restaurants. That's one of my favorite things to do. And it gave me energy, but it also gave me clarity on things in my life. And when I started to do that, I started to realize I can dine myself and I can really come up with what I wanted to do next. So, two different things of renewal.
Yeah.
Concerts are fun, though. Let me tell you what, Tom, I actually just got back from my 50th show of Dave Matthews Band in West Palm Beach,
Wow.
Florida.
I think
Yeah,
it's safe to say you're dedicated to Dave Matthews. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
loyal, right? Remember?
You are loyal. There you go. That's another one of those loyalty things. The printer, Dave Matthews, we probably have a list, right?
Yeah,
So
we
tell
do.
me this, Michelle, where are you choosing courage over certainty right now?
So right now in my life, I'm going through a transitional period with people and with business. And this means that there's some onions being peeled back, which means that there's some pain that I'm going through. And a lot of people don't see that, of course, from the outside, but it's really hard to shed layers in order to have that growth happen. It's like the pruning concept, right? God will continue to prune you so he can develop you to where you need to go. But it's painful. I'm not going to lie, it's painful. Some days I cry more often than I feel like I should, but I don't want to should on myself. I think that that's horrible to should on people. And sometimes you just got to go through that in order to have some massive growth
Yeah.
and really serve people more. Because if you're able to do that, then you can help others do the same thing.
Yeah. Love this. So tell me, what's the boldest vision for Michelle? What comes next?
What comes next? So Unsilenced Voices is my heart, right? This is my heart and soul. At the time of this recording, we've been around for 9 years, a long time. And we plan by the end of 2026 to start a school and also start housing in Sierra Leone. So we need to raise roughly about $500,000 by the end of 2026. Once we go into 2027, 2028, and continue moving forward, we plan to not only be in Sierra Leone, in multiple different locations in Sierra Leone, but multiple different countries, not only around Africa, but I'm also looking at South America. I'm looking at the Middle East. That's a huge heart of mine. I would love to go to Saudi Arabia, start speaking. I would love to really kind of infiltrate Iran and really kind of help a lot of the women there, give hope. And so that's big vision, right? There are going to be opportunities that happen that I didn't even realize were opportunities. It's funny, like right now, things are happening. And in 5 years from now, this relationship that I've built, maybe even with you, Tom, right? 5 years from now, who knows? We could be building schools in Afghanistan together. Who knows what could happen? But that is really where the big vision is. And then I would love to speak even more. I love to speak. I love to share my story because oftentimes a lot of people get stuck in their circumstances. They don't know how to move forward. They don't know where to go. The grief, the suffering, the misery, what they've experienced will sometimes stop them in their tracks. And I really want to encourage other people that no matter what it is that you've gone through, no matter what it is that you are going through, you can overcome, and it is your choice. I am reading a book right now called The Biology of Belief. And I forget the name of the author right now. I apologize about that. But The Biology of Belief, an amazing book. And in reality, it is our thoughts that control everything around us. So yes, we can be put in an environment, or yes, we may have gotten DNA from our parents. However, it is our choice to be able to go a certain direction. So
Yeah, yeah.
I could go on and on about that.
That's a whole nother podcast for us to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
We'll do a part two about that subject. So tell me this, Michelle, what does legacy mean to you at this point in your life?
Yeah, see, I think legacy is something that you live today, not just something that you leave for tomorrow. So legacy also means enjoying your life. See, we are not meant to be on this planet to work 40 to 80 hours a week, go to our job, come back, maybe play with our kids for an hour, watch TV, have a beer, go to sleep, and do it all over again. That is not life. We are meant to live the beauty of life. I personally believe that heaven and hell are on earth. I think that there are horrible, horrible things that happen on this planet, but there is so much beauty and love as well. And it's really making an effort to find that because it's all around us. It really is all around us. And when you live your legacy today, you get to travel, you get to meet people, you get to collaborate with one another. We get off of our phones, right? We're on our phones all the time. Let's get off of our phones. Let's be face to face with one another. Let's have conversations again. That's what I think legacy is. And of course, everybody talks about the legacy you leave behind and the mission and vision and all of that. And, you know, of course, Unsilenced Voices is going to go on for generations to come. And you can still live the legacy today.
Love this. So tell me this. If a much, much, much younger Michelle were watching this podcast, what would you tell her?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, girl. Um, yeah. You know, I've always, let me rephrase this. Growing up, I oftentimes had the thought that I wasn't enough. I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't achieving enough. I needed to do more. You know, this is why, although I didn't like school, I was a straight A student and honor society and all this stuff, right? I had to do more, even more, and honors classes and do all this stuff. And even with my acting career, I had to do more classes, do more this, do more, do more, do more. And I'm starting to realize I'm now 42 years old. So I'm just telling everybody this. This is what it is, right? 2026, I'm 42 years old. I'm starting to realize it's not about doing more, but being content with who you are. Just being content with the growth that you've had and where you're going. And I would tell my younger self just to enjoy life more and
Yeah.
to not worry so much, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love this, Michelle. Love this. I do something regularly with people, especially people that I enjoy and spend time with, or just people that I feel it's meaningful. I have a talk that I have with them about what it means to be in your 40s, because so many people feel like midlife has arrived. I was at Facebook in the very early days. Everybody there was in their early 20s. I was old enough literally to be their father. And now they're in their 40s. And I love watching their posts about they're now married with kids and they think they're in midlife. And there's so much about the 40s that is really critically important. So maybe we'll have that conversation one day.
Yeah, I would love that.
Michelle. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could leave the viewers with one invitation about your journey, what would it be?
So I oftentimes end podcasts with the same thing, but I think that it's very pertinent right now. There is a movie called Finding Nemo. Do you know that movie, Tom? So
It's
Finding Nemo.
one of the few that I bought.
Okay, yeah, so you know the movie well. And in that movie, of course, Nemo gets lost and all of this happens, and Nemo's dad finds a fish. Her name is Dory. Now, Dory is an airhead, and I can say this, right? She really was an airhead, and her voice was Ellen DeGeneres. She did such a great job. But the one thing that kept happening with Dory is she just kept forgetting. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, I don't know what's happening. 15-second like time frame. And the one thing that she always kept singing to herself is just keep swimming. So, your listeners, this is what I want to leave them with. Just keep swimming. No matter what it is that you've gone through, no matter the thoughts that you're having, the obstacles you're experiencing, you just keep swimming, right? Just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Love this. Love this wisdom you shared today. Michelle, please tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, of course. So if you're in the USA and you are listening, go ahead and text amplified to 26786. Again, amplified, AMPLIED to 26786. If you're not in the US, you can just, of course, visit my website, Michelle Jewsbury, JEWS, B as in boy, URY.com. Again, MichelleJewsbury.com.
Wonderful. Michelle, thank you for being a guest on Opening Pathways today.
Thank you so much, Tom, for having me.
It's been great. And to my viewers, this is Tom Lenoble, and I'll see you next time.